Robotnik here. It's been a hot minute, but hey, that means this review's been taking a long time. So without further ado, let's finally hop into Guilty Gear Tekken 4. That doesn't seem right now, does it? Well, let's just see if we still have Tekken 4 here then. Must have put Guilty Gear X in here by mistake. Well, since we won't be reviewing Guilty Gear, I guess we could probably take a look at Dragon Ball Z Budokai. This is a pretty classic PS2 era fighting game, though not as good as Budokai 3, but hey, this would be a pretty fun one to look at, so hey, we could probably see where a great series got its... Is this some kind of a joke? Okay. Evidently, someone has bought me a lot of excessive copies of Tekken 4 and put them in my PS2 games. Alright, if someone wants me to take a look at a bad game, Ride to Hell Retribution. I've already Let's Played this on the channel, but a review probably wouldn't hurt. Let's go and... Well, I guess you can say that's an improvement. Please, please, please don't be Tekken 4. Please, please, please don't be Tekken 4. Son of a bitch. Okay, who's the asshole that replaced all my video games with Tekken fucking 4?
Hey, miss me? Been a long time, friend. Well, in the meantime, I've replaced all the video games with Tekken 4.
For fuck's sake, I should have known it was you, anti-worm.
Surprised you didn't catch on sooner.
So, why of all games, Tekken 4?
Because Twisted Metal 3 failed to break you, and Fantasy Strike failed to break you. Hell, I saw you playing that competitively at Frosty Faustings for money. And you hate that game. But then again, anyone will do anything for money. Just look at Michael Bay. So, Tekken 4 is my next step to breaking you.
Okay, if you wanted me to review that game, you could have just asked. You know that? Maybe sometimes just asking, hey, could you please review this? That'd be nice. I mean, I'd be willing to review it.
Bitch, I'm fucking evil. Being nice isn't in my vocabulary.
Fine, if you want me to review Tekken 4 that badly, I'll play Tekken fucking 4. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a review of Tekken 4, the black sheep of the franchise.
Get ready for the next battle.
Tekken 4 began development shortly after Tekken Tag Tournament was completed. While the console port of Tekken Tag Tournament was a nice look at how next-gen Tekken would feel, Tekken 4 was built from the ground up to be the next-generation Tekken, from the graphics to the story and even to the gameplay. Innovation was the name of the game here, and the team sought to go big or go home. Tekken 4 added massive innovations such as walled arenas and arenas with multi-tiered levels and hazards, not unlike other games at that time like Virtua Fighter 3 or Dead or Alive 2. Tekken 4 was released in arcades on July 1st, 2001, and was released on the PS2 in North America on September 23rd, 2002, to positive critical reviews, though the fan base is heavily divided on this game. The competitive community hated this game with a passion, citing weak balance and quirks in the engine which disrupted competitive play, and some casual fans felt the roster paled in comparison to Tekken Tag Tournament's massive roster. However, the game has seen recent re-evaluations from fans, praising it for its story and atmosphere, and some even consider this the most underrated Tekken. I think we'll find our decision throughout the game, but for now, let's get on with the story. The game takes place 2 years after the events of the King of Iron Fist 3. While Heihachi didn't succeed in capturing Ogre thanks to Jin killing the damn thing, he was able to secure Ogre's DNA via his remains, so he went on to resume his plan to splice Ogre's genome with his own so it could become the ultimate life form. Unfortunately for Heihachi, the experiment failed because Heihachi lacked one key ingredient, the Devil Gene. While Jin Kazama possessed the Devil Gene, he had vanished without a trace after Heihachi pulled his Devil Trigger back in the King of Iron Fist Tournament 3. Unknown to Heihachi, Jin had been hiding out in Brisbane, Australia, learning Kyokushin Karate in an attempt to unlearn the Mishima style. Fortunately for Heihachi, one of his leading scientists, Dr. Abel, found that G-Corp, one of the most advanced biotechnic firms, happened to have the body of Kazuya Mishima stored in their facility, having recovered it 20 years prior. Heihachi then leads the Tekken Force to attack G-Corp to find Kazuya's remains, but Heihachi's day would end up getting a whole lot worse.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
The Tekken Force was attacked by none other than Kazuya himself, who happened to be resurrected by G-Corp shortly after his death, and then proceeds to open up a whole can of whoop-ass on the entire Tekken Force. Kazuya then taunts Heihachi using the video feed of one of his men before killing him. Heihachi remains undeterred, though, and comes up with a plan to lure both Kazuya and Jin in the only way he knows how. He announces the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4, and to ensure that they'll take the bait, he decides that a mere cash prize isn't enough. He places the entire Mishima Zaibatsu on the line as his prize. Both Kazuya and Jin are suspicious of the tournament, but their desire for revenge against Heihachi is too good to pass up. Heihachi's attack on G-Corp also gets Li Xiaolan involved again after skipping King of Iron Fist 3, as he was under exile for 20 years under threat of death over his betrayal in the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2. Needing to avoid Heihachi's attention, Li dons the disguise of Violet to investigate Heihachi's intentions. Li, however, never expected to see Kazuya alive again in the flesh and lost the fight, getting eliminated in the tournament. Jin also won his match against his rival Hwoarang, but this time by default as the South Korean army apprehended him after he went AWOL. Jin and Kazuya were set to face each other in the semifinals, but Kazuya got a message from the tournament officials telling him that he'll automatically advance to the final stage as Jin hadn't shown up. Kazuya is heavily suspicious of Heihachi's involvement, but goes off to face his father once more. It's also worth pointing out that Heihachi is the final boss for almost everyone, and when you play as the Mishimas, he's in his traditional gi. When you play as everyone else, though, he gets a special wrestling style intro, and his outfit is, well, see for yourself.
Now give me my diaper, goddammit!
I made a boom boom.
Anyways, Kazuya and Heihachi duke it out in the finals, with Heihachi taking the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4 and retaining the Mishima Zaibatsu. He then takes Kazuya to Hanmaru, a dojo deep within the Mishima estate, where Kazuya sees an unconscious Jin chained up. Before Heihachi could do the same to Kazuya, Kazuya's devil awakens and knocks out Heihachi. He then awakens Jin for a battle, in which Jin gets overtaken by Devil Jin. He proceeds to then defeat Kazuya in a rage, and then fights Heihachi, also defeating him. Devil Jin is about to deal the final blow and kill Heihachi for good until Jin has a vision of Jun Kazama watching over him. Jin then reluctantly spares Heihachi and Kazuya, telling them, "Thank my mother, Jun Kazama," and flies off in the night, thus ending the story to Tekken 4. As you can see, the stakes are raised. Even the regular characters have more personal matters, such as Brian Fury entering the tournament to get close to his creator, Dr. Abel, as Brian needs modifications or else he'll just flat out die. Paul enters the tournament to restore his lost reputation as, although he had beaten Ogre in the King of Iron Fist 3, he didn't defeat true Ogre, and as a result, many people consider him a fraud on par with Andrew Tate. We even see a lot in the endings, which, while we still get some funny endings like Law picking a fight with people that dislike his cooking.
Man, the food here sucks.
We have to pay for this?
What did you just say?
You heard me. I said this food sucks. You expect us to eat this stuff?
What do you mean it sucks?
This pepper beef is too damn spicy.
What are you talking about? This is good. You
or Kuma outsmarting Heihachi when claiming the Mishima Zaibatsu.
熊よ、その契約書に母印を押すのじゃ。そうじゃそうじゃ。楽しかろう。おれ、まだまだあるぞ。さあ、熊よ。これで最後じゃ。
A lot of the endings are more serious for everyone. For example, Paul gets an introspective ending that shows that when Paul takes the Zaibatsu, he ends up becoming a shell of his former self.
Alright, let's take a cab.
Paul! Hey, Paul! Paul!
Ain't my style.
Our newcomers are also really good, if smaller. We have Craig Marduk, a disgraced fall tuna fighter with a serious attitude problem. We have Steve Fox, a boxer that has vague knowledge on his origins, who's on the run from the mob. And we eventually find out that he's Nina's son in this game. And Chrissy Montiero, a moveset clone of Eddie Gordo, and his protege searching for him. Despite me making it clear that Tekken's story is kinda stupid in a few videos so far, I honestly like the story to this game. It helps that it has an atmosphere like no other, where it feels more like a grounded take on Tekken, which just makes it feel unique. We even see the atmosphere mostly in the stages, where a good amount of them are just generic locations like a parking garage, an underground fight club, a beach, an airport, the mall, a business district, a rooftop. My only complaint is that this game downplays the supernatural aspects of Tekken, which makes sense for the fighting styles, but making the Devil Gene a genetic mutation rather than a supernatural hereditary curse just feels admittedly more silly than just making it, you know, a hereditary curse. You also want to know what helps this game out the most? We also don't have...
Anytime, any place, bring it on, you aliens!
Now onto the presentation. As I've said before, this was the first Tekken made with the next generation in mind, and it shows with this graphical overhaul. This game looks fucking amazing. It still holds up 21 years later. Yes, this game can now legally drink. Go eat your oatmeal, old man. We also got some character costumes that showcase some fancy graphical effects for the time, such as King's long flowing hair, or Jin's hood being able to be knocked down, which was something that couldn't be done on the original PS1. Though, seeing Paul with long flowing hair feels fundamentally wrong. It says a lot that his more hopeless look in Tekken 8 looks less wrong, despite also not having his Polnareff cut there either. Is it just me, or does he also look like Maximilian Dude in his ending as well? I don't know, weird tangent. We also see this brought to the stages, which are no longer endless scrolling stages, but arenas with explicitly defined walls and even different terrain in almost every stage, which was a big deal at the time, and see with other fighters attempting the same thing with Dead or Alive 2 or Virtua Fighter 3. The stages even get neat little details, such as being able to knock over the audience in the Fight Club, for a good example. The FFVs also take great advantage of the PS2's horsepower and look freaking amazing as well some 20 years later. The soundtrack is also pretty good as well. Most of it is a bit more subdued in atmosphere compared to prior and later Tekkens, but it gets the job done selling the atmosphere, with particular favorite themes being the airport's theme, the Fight Club, Heihachi's Arena, and Honmaru coming to mind. We also get proper voice acting this time though. Like many games of its era, the English voice acting leaves much to be desired.
There's no reason to fight.
You ain't got one? Well, I do!
This game is also the first game to make a point to have characters speak their native tongue whenever possible. That's only limited to the Mishimas, Zayu, and Yoshimitsu speaking Japanese, and Hwoarang speaking Korean in the English version, respectively. And Lee only speaks English in this game, despite later games he speaks Japanese, but that could be just due to him trying to disguise himself from the Mishimas. We also get some win poses where the character interacts with the loser, such as where Kazuya neck lifts the opponent, Heihachi slams the opponent head to the ground while telling them to come back when they're ready to fight, or most famously, Brian Fury beating the ever-living shit out of their opponent. Now onto the gameplay, and that's where everything starts to get hairy. We still got the familiar 2-punch, 2-kick setup with sidesteps for evasion, and it still feels fairly good to hit things. The combos feel responsive, the new characters are a lot of fun, the classic characters get some new tools that further help evolve them further, such as Kazuya and Heihachi now gaining the Electric Wind God Fist, and Paul gaining the full Demo Man Just Frame. Though good luck getting it, it's the hardest one. And this seems to be a big step in the right direction. However, the movement was massively slowed down. This was mainly done to nerf excessive backdashing, but if you ask me, this was just a massive overcorrection that basically just makes the game feel less responsive and not as fun to move around in. We also get the amount of throws reduced, as now pressing both of the left limbs now does a phase shift, which is just a position switch. And honestly, just one of the most useless mechanics ever. I seriously don't see any practical situation for this, and evidently neither did Namco, as it came quickly as it went, going back to having 2 default throws depending on the limb in Tekken 5. As stated earlier in the presentation, this game was the first Tekken to do away with infinite flat stages, and most of the stages outside of the arena and Hanmaru had some gimmick like hazards in the middle of the stage or some uneven terrain. However, this comes at a price. The uneven terrain ended up making combat extremely awkward, with mids becoming highs, or highs becoming mids depending on the character's position, or characters hitting ceilings during a juggle, messing up what could have been a great combo. You also could hide behind obstacles to avoid attacks, such as putting yourself in between the pillar and the parking garage to piss off your opponent. Seriously, look at this! The AI here is having a stroke. They can't even reach me. I did this for 30 seconds. Come on, man! Due to the unpredictability of most of the stages, most tournaments of the game usually only pick the arena, due to it being the only stage with the least amount of bullshit, and even that wasn't a pure guarantee. The roster's also admittedly a little disappointing as well. While having Kazuya, Martial Law, and Lee come back was pretty cool, the omission of Jack Robots feel glaring, considering that as he was a mainstay up to that point, and a pretty fun powerhouse to play with as well, with his bullying oppressive power being fun to use. It doesn't help that this game came out after Tag Tournament, which, as I stated earlier in that video, had a pretty fun roster, so this feels less appealing. It doesn't help that we only really have 2 newcomers in actual functionality, with Craig Marduk being a pretty fun take on Volley Tudo, and Steve Fox being a cool representation of boxing, although he's a fucking bastard. Seriously, this is fucking stupid. Though Christy Montiero is just a glorified palette swap of Eddie Gordo. A Jarek Takano, if you will. And Combat, oh yeah, forgot to talk about this tin can, is just Mokujin but a robot. But he only mimics a fighter once per match rather than round, so he's just a more glorified random selected 11 was in Street Fighter V, and that character is a bonus DLC character. And now to the biggest issue of the game, the character balance, which, holy fuck, this is terrible. The combat was heavily slowed down, and as a result, high-level play of this game ended up favoring short jabs and quick punches rather than the complex combos prior, which allowed characters like Steve to become one of the series' most notorious consistent top tiers. Look at this stupid-ass character. Also, is it just me, or is Marduk's tackle a lot more gassed up than in later games, where his tackle feels like it can determine a match alone, and he can remount with ease, and he doesn't have, like, a predetermined, like, animation with each button he presses. Instead, he can just constantly pummel at the opponent until they push him off. And speaking of tiers, do not get me started on Jin Kazama in this game, who I would argue is arguably the most broken Tekken character of all time. Even more broken than pre-patch Leroy or Bob in Tekken 6. As stated earlier in the video, Jin spent the 2 years in Tekken 3 and Tekken 4 story unlearning Mishima Karate in favor of Kyokushin Karate, and this reflects in his gameplay, as he's practically a different character from before. Initially, some fans wrote him off as a result because they didn't really like how he played compared to how he was in Tekken 3 or Tag Tournament, but those that stuck around and rode out the storm found the perfect Tekken character. He has everything. God tier frame data, extremely reliable juggles, that fucking hell sweep with great mix-up potential, but the worst is yet to come. Most Tekken fans dread hearing this term, Just Frame Laser Scraper. Normally, Laser Scraper is an alternative to his laser cannon move, where just before you hit the final attack, you can press down to go for a launching variant. It's normally blockable, but if you charge it up, it becomes an unblockable. Sounds good. And, well, it is. Well, some cheeky asshole decided to make a Just Frame version of this attack, so now if you hit it at the right time, you now have an unblockable launcher that comes out in 3 frames that's now impossible to dodge as you're in block stun, and you can't duck it in time as it's a mid. Did I also mention that this is far easier to do than Paul's Demo Man or any of the electrics? This is one of the very few Just Frame moves to be outright removed in future Tekkens. It's that fucking broken. Suffice to say, your character standing in the tier list basically boiled down to, can this character counter Jin to even have a chance at viability, which was basically just Steve with his stupid-ass boxing loops, and maybe if you're lucky, you might see a Paul or a Marduk at a tournament, but that's if. A failure to ban Jin killed this game's competitive scene, as most players flocked back to Tekken Tag Tournament, which still had a prominent EVO scene at this time. Now, it may sound like this game sucks ass, but I do want to stress that it's merely just inferior to Tekken 3 and Tag Tournament. But it's an alright time on its own right. The arcade mode is still fun to fight through and isn't too bad, though Heihachi is an extremely underwhelming final boss in that game. It says a lot that the only real memorable thing about him is his fucking diaper. We also got the Tekken Force, which has been massively expanded with its presentation to be a full 3D beat-em-up instead of a 2.5 view, with even longer levels. It also is still a fun distraction for extra content. Beating this mode unlocks Hanmaru for regular play, which is a neat reward. And despite this game being dog shit for competitive play, it is still a decent time with casual play, with me and my friends having an alright time with this, but not to the extent of 3 or Tag. Now, would I recommend this game? Yes, but with a few asterisks. I do think the atmosphere is excellent, the character stories are entertaining, some of the ideas of this game feel interesting, but I feel the overall gameplay, while still fundamentally decent, is flawed in the final product, with the slower movement speed, stage gimmicks being too damn obstructive, and the terrible balance being flaws that ultimately do this game in. The fans at the time felt the same way, as while this game sold 2 million copies in its lifetime compared to Tekken 3's 8 million. While Tekken Tag also didn't reach 3's numbers, that one you could at least argue had the benefit of just being a spin-off game with a smaller budget, so it was still super profitable. And a lot of fans are like, why would I buy Tag Tournament? Tekken 4 is going to be the mainline entry. I definitely understand why this game had developed a sudden vocal fan base, as the stuff this game does right, it does really well. I know some people are going to be inevitably upset no matter what I say about Tekken, but I do have to speak my mind on this. With that said, my final score for this game is a 6 out of 10. Alright, I reviewed Tekken 4. Now restore the games back to normal.
Well, you did review the game. I might as well restore your games back to normal. But mark my words, asshole, I'll be back.
Anti-Worm, you are slowly becoming more and more of a goddamn nuisance. Get the fuck out of here unless you're gonna contribute to the fucking rent.
Oh, I'll fight a game so bad, you'll regret picking up a controller.
Sure, buddy, do your worst. Do your worst if you dare. I am ready.
Is that a Gladiator's reference? That's hella based. Now, I think I'll take my leave.
Well, now that we got that inconvenience out of the way, thank you for watching my Tekken 4 video. Join us next time, as I'm pretty sure you might have heard of a little indie game from Team Reptile called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Well, to celebrate that game's release, we are going to be reviewing the original Jet Set Radio. I hope you guys enjoy that. And as far as the Guilty Gear Retrospective is concerned, I did run into some issues doing X and XX. They're not cancelled, but they were just a massive, ambitious undertaking that I just did not anticipate. So for now, that episode just put on hold while I still record some footage. Like, it's just those story modes are really fucking long in XX. I am so fucking sorry. But that thing was just hell to abridge, and just finding all those story paths is a massive pain in the ass. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to help, please consider supporting my Patreon, so that way I can probably get better equipment. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time, boys and girls.